Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and all between the binary. This is Get Informed with Wajeeh. I am Wajeeh Lion. Thank you so much for tuning in on your morning Thursday podcast here on Substack and YouTube. Thank you so much for coming in. Destroy the heart button for me. Share the live stream with everyone that you know on Substack, on other platforms. Let them know that we are here. Let them know that we are live so they can join our revolution of people who are trying to be informed. Tuning in from Paris. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. I have some good news. I have some good news. We have finalized the design for our podcast merch. Soon it will be available for you guys to purchase on mugs, on bags, and even hoodies and t shirts. I'm going to make sure that you get good quality for a good price. And I'm going to talk to the team to see if they can make it affordable. And how affordable, we'll see how we can do that. This is more for you guys to, feel like you are part of the community rather than me making profit. This is because you guys asked for it, and I am doing exactly what you guys want. You guys want merch? I have reached out, paid a designer, figured out a good design that you guys might like. No mug this time, no mug, but definitely the Fez hat. And I won't show you the picture to spell out anything, but it's a good thing. We talked a lot about how the United States actions have resulted in a lot of vacuums of power in the past. I talked about how the United States, when they resulted in a vacuum of power in Iraq back in the Iraqi war, and we invaded and took out Saddam Hussein, we created a perfect opportunity for the uh, Al Qaeda, for Bin Laden, and for other Shi'i terrorist groups to form their militias and step in instead of that for that vacuum of power, and has resulted in a lot of innocent life and has resulted in a lot of destruction, and has resulted in instability for at least a decade or going on to 2 decades now. That happened again in Syria, that happened in Lebanon, that happened in Yemen, that happened in Somalia, that happened in so many different places. And every time we did that, we have created the perfect opportunity for a terrorist organization to take over. And anytime that terrorist organization takes over, they end up wanting to apply conservative, extremist Sharia law, where music is banned, where girls are banned from education, where women and men are segregated from society, where execution is publicly prevalent. And we hear all these bomb terrorist attacks against government facilities and how they kidnap girls from, from small towns and villages in order for them to get some blackmail money, or even worse, enslave these girls or boys. The boys get turned into soldiers that end up fighting the wars for these terrorist organizations. That is what we're creating. I hear people from Israel who are, advisors to the Netanyahu, and how they have publicly called for the fall of the for the fall of the Iranian government. They have publicly called that they want Iran to become a failed country. They have publicly said that if Iran continues to be a country, this is a problem for our national security. Without thinking about the long-term consequences, we have like they are essentially wanting to repeat history. They think that Iran would become like Gaza. Gaza is a very small town. That's like 2 or 3 neighborhoods. Not 2 or 3 neighborhoods, much bigger, but it's a very small city. You can travel from the north to the south within 30 minutes with a car. It's not that big. And Gaza has walls sky high made out of cement, and each wall corner has snipers shooting at people coming close to the wall. This is Iran is not like that. Iran is bigger than Afghanistan. Iran has a bigger population than Gaza. You have 90 million people. You think those terrorist organizations are not going to commit any terrorist attack against Israel or against neighboring countries or against U.S. Homeland or U.S. bases in the region? This is a warning. I'm giving you a warning now. Be careful. Do not allow something like this to happen. If you want to see a transition in a government, then you have a peaceful transition from one side of the government to the other, from within inside the country, from within inside the people, by the people, so they can feel like this revolution is theirs. You coming in, fighting Iran doesn't make the revolution theirs. It makes the revolution yours. And if the revolution is yours, then what's the point of the people rising up? You want people to rise up or you want to change the government? It's different. Empowering the people, giving them access to everything they need, makes them want to do change. When people have nothing to lose, this when they go out and demand a change in our government. They have been already protesting, but you have been killing civilians. So instead of these civilians going out and protesting their country, they're sitting home and saying, fuck the US. I ain't doing nothing. Israel doesn't want Iran to even go to the Shah, the next king. If there was a king, I'm against the Shah. I'm personally think that there should be a president, and the Shah goes, "Oh, I'm gonna help in the transition of a government by becoming the king." That's right. Good for you. And all of these actions are not the only actions that we're doing. When you have security contracts with Gulf states, and when you give Qatar, right, a higher security privileges than NATO, and Qatar gets attacked, and you don't do shit, then what's the point of your word? When you sign a security contract with Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia gets attacked with missiles and drones, and your system does not activate, and it goes to not get activated in Israel alone, your Gulf states are going to be like, why the fuck are we paying you premium money? Israel is not even paying you premium money. Israel is taking money from you to pay their security system. We are paying you premium money, and we ain't getting shit. We're probably just getting shit. We're not getting anything other than shit. So, the United States has created a vacuum of power but for its own this time. Not in the Middle East for a Middle Eastern country. No, for itself. The United States, a place that takes a lot of power, a country that has a lot of holding, now is getting vacuumed out of the Middle East. Is getting kicked out from Middle Eastern countries in one way or another. Who's stepping in to fulfill that vacuum? China, Europe, including Europe, Ukraine, including Europe, Russia, even though that they're not directly part of Europe. Okay. All of these countries now are making bank, even though the Gulf states know that the Chinese defense equipment are worthless. Because when they recently got attacked, the Chinese system did not activate and did not respond. It basically failed absolutely. But China's still going to be able to sell. At least they're going to sell missiles. At least they're going to sell weapons. The United States cannot even sell missiles or weapons at the moment. So, what do you mean, Wajeeh? I'll give you a good example. Let me go here. The asymmetric economics of this Operation Epic Fury over a 39-day period in early 2026, Iran launched over 2,000 unmanned aerial vehicles and over 500 ballistic missiles against their neighboring country. Where's my other phone? Here's my other phone. I did quick math when we were on Malcolm Nance's podcast. Malcolm Nance said last month or within the last week, Iran allowed 30 ships to pass through their own easy pass. And they all had to pay the $2 million fee, which made Iran easy to $30 million, $60 million. This $60 million can allow Iran to produce 3,000 unmanned drones within 2-week period or 1-week period. Meanwhile, we are facing critically low numbers in our weapons, whether it is defense or whether it's attack. An analysis of critical U.S. ammunition following the 39-day campaign reveals severe inventory depletion across the board. The United States began the conflict with an estimate inventory of 360 terminal high-altitude aerial defense. I think there's a misnumber in here. I thought it was in the thousands. Anyways, out of the 360, we have depleted 290. So 80% of our THAAD missiles have been depleted. To fulfill these 80 missiles and fill them back in, so we can have 80 missiles again, we need 4 years. 2 to 4 years, unless we pass a law forcing U.S. factories to start making these bombs, like what we used to do in World War I, World War II. A single, a single THAAD missile would cost us $15.5 million and needs at least 53 months of procurement. So you need to put in the order 53 months in ahead. And then I have Trump administration come out and says, oh, we have plenty of weapons. Weapons before what we had in the war. Motherfucker, you used more than what we have. Please, His Royal Majesty needs to be respected. Now, our Patriot Advanced Capability 3 missiles, we have used 63% of all of what we have. We approximately, we had 1,000, we used approximately 1,430 missiles out of the 2,330 missiles that we had. In 32 days, we used more than half of the stockpile. A single missile from the PAC-3, the Patriot Advanced Capability, cost us $3.9 million and needs 42 months in advance to reserve it. Meanwhile, the Iranians need only $20,000 for a drone. $20,000 for a drone. So, for every 114 to 1 cost favorability, for whom? For Iran. We spend at least, not minimum $114 for every dollar that Iran spends attacking us. Wajeeh, you're exaggerating. How am I exaggerating? Half of the U.S. ships are not even in the middle of the Persian Gulf. They're sitting in the Persia, the Gulf of Oman. How the United States is good when they ended all of their sales with their European nations that have been waiting on their THAAD and PAC missiles. How are we doing okay? Now we're facing China, we're meeting China with, and we don't even have the missile capability to defend ourselves against China or Russia. Do the math. I did the math for you. And I published an article yesterday. I recommend you to read it. It's a little long, and I made sure to make it very easy to understand, and I dumbed down all the very hard languages so you don't have to do a lot of research of what this means and what that means. I explain a lot of things for you, and I make sure to make it easy to understand because it is very, very complicated. And a lot of times when people in the news explain it, they throw in all of the vocabularies, and you sit down going, what the fuck did they just say? I made that easy for you to understand. Go to my page. The article is called China's Covert Strategy for Controlling Gulf Security. I go in details Details. Your black hair, your yellow hair, your blonde hair, whatever color it is, will become gray. You will be surprised. By the way, if you're watching this content and you like what you're hearing and you like this type of content, please click that like button, destroy that heart button at the bottom, and then click share for everyone to join us. We have 245 people. We can be doing a lot more. This is important information for everyone so they can know what their government is doing, so they can understand that they are in danger. They're not safe as the government is saying that they are. And my whole point here is we can have education without shame and answering questions that a lot of people are afraid of asking about the Middle East. You can ask me. Don't worry about it. You won't offend me. I won't feel offended. There is no stupid questions here. I strongly believe is if you have questions that are unanswered, then you have fear. And if you have fear about the Middle East, then you will start to hate it. And as you hate the Middle East, then you won't have a good idea of how to solve this conflict. My point here is to inform you and empower you to have all the tools and the knowledge that you might need in order to make decisions in your everyday life, vote for the right people, demand the right actions, and know what's happening around you. Because if you are uninformed, then you are going to be making the wrong decisions when it comes to the Middle East, or calling for the wrong shots, or voting for the wrong person. Jeez Louise. Let's go back. Yes. And again, rebuilding the U.S. stockpile for pre-war levels, just the pre-war level. And the pre-war level wasn't enough. The pre-war level wasn't enough. It was just enough to protect us from any attacks, immediate attacks. It wasn't meant to go to direct war against a country like Iran. For us to just refill the stockpile would take us 4 years. Not make more. No, just refill the stockpile. And the United States government has approved over $41 billion in fast-tracked armed sales to the Gulf states, selling weapons that we need because we entered a war without consulting them, and now they're in a position where they need those weapons to protect themselves against Iran. Meanwhile, we can't even protect ourselves. Let me do some quick work here. I got a message telling me that the episode is out, and I want to make sure if it's out, it has been published on
And
YouTube.
you are watching the Black Man Spot.
It's uploading. Okay, good. Now, the GCC has shifted their strategy. The Gulf Cooperation Council is no longer for the United States for security. By the way, Saudi Arabia has attacked Iran. United Arab Emirates has attacked Iran. And they'd done that covertly before anyone knew about it. And we recently just figured that out of the news where they have been covering it. And people have been asking me like about Saudi Arabia previously, and I told you they keep two-faced. They keep it in the public one way, and then behind the closed door, they're attacking Iran. I told you that before any news came out. I told you that, and I gave you that expectation that the Saudi government would be attacking Iran behind closed doors, and in the front would be Iran, we love you. Please don't attack us. We're close friends. We're both Muslims. But because they were attacked, the Saudi government has reserved their international legal right of responding whenever they want to that attack. Now this Gulf state, is finding themselves in a pickle. Since 2016, China global defense export has reached $8.5 billion to 2025 with the Gulf states, breaking records where China has been selling these air defense missiles to these Gulf states. Like what I told you, all of these defense missiles almost failed. Why? Because the Gulf states have multiple defense systems that are not necessarily fully integrated the right way. When you have systems that are created by different countries like Russia, China, the US, and Europe, and you have them all in one place, and you connect them with each other, you need translators for those systems, you need communication for that system. And when you plug them all together and they have to translate and communicate with each other, and they're not used to communicating and translating for each other, those systems fail. And that's exactly what happened. So now the GCC is trying to figure out ways how to integrate all of these systems without having a system failure. But they're still buying from China because China's selling and the US is out. All of these Chinese, 80% between 2016 to 2025, 80% of Chinese military sales, all of to the GCC and the Middle East. Where actively Saudi Arabia is moving away from purely buying weapons to build them indigenously. Where Saudi government has been investing very hard, and now they have made a contract with Ukraine where Ukraine would be sending their special people, engineers, to teach Saudi government how to build these drones to protect themselves. Saudi Arabia has already built their own drone manufacturer with China. Their goal is to produce at least 50% of the weapons they use. So they're no longer looking for US manufactured weapons, and they're looking for their own manufactured weapons. And all of that was expedited with Donald Trump. It is part of the vision of 2030 for the Saudi government to use 50% of its to produce 50% of its military stockpile. And the Saudi government is in the top 10, if they're not top 5, most spending countries on military spending. Here, I'll go to my Someone is texting me about doing a collaboration. He's a former UN. He used to work for the UN, and he specializes in international relations. And we're talking about having him over at some point to talk specifically about the U.S. vacuum of power. So keep posted. Collaborations with experts are gonna keep coming. We know a lot of people that know what the fuck they're talking about. You don't only have to hear from me; you can hear from other people that know what they're saying. So you know the truth from more than one side. His name is Piotr, and we'll see what we could do for you guys. Well, I was trying to do a message for you guys actually, so you could ask your questions. I just posted a message in the group chat, and if you can't post a message in the group chat, I'm gonna grab this closer to me so I could read your messages. We're almost to the Q&A. I just want you two guys to have a minute to write your questions while I'm talking, so we be on time. Is that okay? Okay. The Saudi Arabian General Authority for Military Industries has signed a landmark $5 billion defense agreement with China Aviation Industry Corporation, uh, with Chinese aviation industry called Corporation of China. That is specifically to, like what I said, the first drone manufacturing company was from China, and that is the agreement that was signed. The facility is meant to produce approximately 48 advanced long range UAVs annually, only 48. Meanwhile, Iran is making thousands within a week or two. Big difference. For Beijing, establishing this facility physically locks Saudi Arabia's defense procurement into China's supply chain for a multi-decade life cycle of the platform. But the United States is not opening a manufacturing in Saudi Arabia. China is. The whole point I'm trying to make is China is stepping in. The United States is being kicked out. Like what I was said, the HQ-9B defense missile that China has sent to Saudi Arabia during the coordinated U.S. and Israeli strike on Iran on March 25th, 2026, the Chinese HQ-9B surface-to-air missile system has failed entirely. American electronic warfare, aircraft, and suppression of enemy air defenses systematically blinded and dismantled the HQ-9B batteries and their associates. Because the United States has advanced system that shuts down this HQ-9B, in addition to the translation issue, in addition to the communication issue between multi-system, what you end up having because of the information warfare that the US government has, that defense all went to trash as part of the communication issue. United States is trying to shut down the communication for Iran and anyone around it to secure its own troops, but that made it a security failure for the Saudi GCC. So the US defenses were able to systematically blind and dismantle the HQ-9B batteries and their associated YLC-8B surveillance radar within the very first hour of the engagement. So let's see what you guys are saying. How can anybody take the US seriously when Trump shows no? That's the problem right now. No one is going to be trusting the United States in the future, especially with peace talks, because the president word seems to be worthless. In the past, the president word had some weight to it. Iran now wants a deal with the ratification of the U.S. Congress, that which would make it a law. Meaning, if you would, so Iran is demanding that any peace talks and anything that comes out would be ratified by Congress, making it, if any president changes their mind on it, they wouldn't be able to do shit. Or it would be a little bit harder for them, at least. So, if the Gulf states deploy Chinese HQ-9 batteries alongside an American Patriot battery, the system requires physical and digital translation layer to pass tracking data back and forth. These translations act as a highly valuable vector for cyber exploitation. That exact translation system that they need failed immediately with the U.S. Cyber defense warfare. Do Russia and China still have the same objective in the Middle East? Don't they compete? They do compete, but they're more of an ally than they have a shared enemy, which is the United States. And the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And the same thing was between Russia and the United States during World War II against the Germans. They were allied and they were friends, and then until they became both the only two superpowers. They became enemies afterwards. History repeating itself. Let's not forget that this plays into the hand of China's new Silk Road trade, or Silk Road trade that goes all the way from China inside Asia, all the way from China to the Middle East, all the way from China to Europe. And these contracts with the Gulf states is exactly what China needs. Exactly what China needs. China's deployment of central bank digital currency is designed to circumvent US dollar dominance. We talked about how the Gulf states and China and many other countries have been working on the death of the petrodollar and been working on stepping away from US sanctions. Well, the Chinese Central Bank of Digital Currencies is designed to circumvent US dollar dominance. It completely nullifies the threat of secondary financial sanctions like the countering American ad through the I forgot how to pronounce this. Oh, American adversaries. Countering the Americans' adversaries throughout Sanctions Act, which is a law that the United States has. It's just a stupid name. In 2025, in November, China and the UAE has successfully completed their first ever cross-border CBDC transaction of 50 million UAE Emirati dinar, which results in about $13.6 million. So that proves that the system is working. State forces. Now, what the Gulf states would be fearing is Trump sanctions against them. The Gulf states, since now they are buying from China directly, they fear retaliation from the US government. But any retaliation against the US government wouldn't be in the best interest of the United States. So the United States is in a pickle at the moment. They don't know what the fuck to do. And they are the only people that put themselves in that situation. No one else. Russia benefits from everything that Trump does. I wouldn't doubt that. I don't criticize our supreme leader. Please don't make me criticize His Royal Excellency and His Majesty, the President of the United States, needs to take all of the respect. Please don't criticize him on my channel. Criticizing His Royal Majesty can be detrimental for our safety and security. Okay. Would those sanctions be similar to what the US and Iran money before? Yes. Many people in the US don't want me talking. So while I'm talking here, some people working hard to destroy who I am and what I am just because we're speaking the truth. We fear the Trump administration. Yes, we do. He has a lot of power. My life is in his hand. He can deport me, and if I get deported, I get executed. So no, he is our supreme leader. We love him and we respect him, and we wish nothing but good things for him. And one day he will be uh, having many, many gold statues in all of the countries around the world, and he will definitely have many awards. What freedom of speech? Did you see what they did to Stephen Colbert? He's way more nicer than me. He looks better than me too. Speaks English. He's white, Catholic, never did anything wrong. They kicked him out. Jimmy Kimmel, Not Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel got fired, and then they brought him back on. What kind of freedom of speech are you talking about? We have all the freedom of speech in this country. We have freedom of speech. We have liberty. We have constitutional rights. We have amendments. And yes, I know how to deal with kings and nobility. You just gotta treat him like a noble person, you know? Questions. I'll go to questions. I'll go to questions. Are countries in the region going to start covertly pursuing nuclear weapons? How do they not consider it? Who said they haven't considered it? The Saudi government has been covertly having nuclear weapons for a while, and it says that they might have nuclear weapons. There are rumors, yes. It's an open secret that Israel has a nuclear weapon, and it's an open secret that the Saudi government has been working very hard on procuring nuclear weapons. We're not sure if they got it from China or from Pakistan, but they also fall under the nuclear umbrella of Pakistan. Pakistan nuclear defense umbrella protects the Saudi government. Saudi government is working currently on procuring civilian nuclear facilities. That's the first step. Next question. Our weapons stockpile are low, and it takes years to build ships and aircrafts. Was the US not prepared to re enter a war? Why wouldn't we keep up with modern technology, drones, and tech? Is that because Congress decided not to spend the money? Do we have No, that's the let me help you out a little bit. Our problem is spending too much without consequences. We have the most advanced technology when it comes to our defense system. But on purpose, when people retire from the Pentagon, they decide to open their own security firms or join other security firms. So the US Pentagon ends up contracting with their own friends that have retired, and it has almost created this black hole in the Pentagon where spending keeps going and going and going. And then instead of spending $5, $10 on a screw, we're spending $5,000 on a screw. Screw, not a shit, a screw. Meanwhile, Iran is spending money, but only $20,000 on a drone. I've said it many times over. The United States Achilles heel is the corruption inside the Pentagon that's allowing billionaires benefit and you spending it. And it shows in this war of attrition where you're spending way more money that you don't have, money that you're borrowing to fight a war you can't afford, a war that wasn't necessary. You spent more than half of your stockpile of defenses. You spent 80% of your THAAD missile. You spent 60% of your pack missile. You have gotten your ship on deployed for more than 300 days, and usually 200 is the limit. You've gotten your soldiers tired. You have been fighting war after war, and your stockpile has not gone back to normal. You've been supporting Ukraine war, and you've been sending a lot of weapons there, and you have realized that you don't have enough weapons. The weapons that you have was designed to protect yourself, wasn't designed to go to war. All of those combinations result in you being not prepared. One after the other, one after the other, when you add them all up, you have a big mistake. In order for the United States to succeed in this war, they need to halt all production and force all of the manufacturing companies in the United States to convert to producing only military products to keep up with this war. Does that make sense? And they're going to spend all the money that the United States has unless they force these companies to give us affordable prices, which I don't see happening. Imagine, imagine, imagine I'm throwing a paper plane at you with a small bomb, and for that paper plane for you not to hit, you're hitting me with a $15 million bomb. You're hitting that paper plane that I just sent over to you that cost me almost nothing with $15.5 million. And you use more than what you have. You use 80% of what you have. Sorry. That's the level of understanding that you need to have. The more you hear that we have wasted weapons, you're like, wait a minute. What has yielded out of this? Oh, we have decapitated the Iranian leadership. Did you end the Iranian regime? No. Did you take out their nuclear facility? No. Did you dismantle all of their ballistic missiles? No. Did you destroy their capability of sending another unmanned drone? No. Did you stop their ability from closing the Strait of Hormuz? No. Yet, you have spent, according to the Pentagon, $29 billion. According to me, more than $60 billion. Why don't the Gulf states make their own peace deal with Iran? Because the peace deal, the war is not between the Gulf states and Iran. The war is between Iran and the United States. And in fact, before this war started, many of the Gulf states have already started peace talks and reestablished embassies and have started their peace process with Iran. And we're going through peace talks. Yes, they were doing just fine. Who told you they weren't working on peace talks? Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Someone is asking if I could make a summary of the Red Alert article. No worries. I'll make a summary for the Red Alert article for you. The whole point is to say that our levels of resources has already hit record low, All of the governments are announcing, including Gulf state governments, are announcing that their oil reserves are hitting a critical low. That oil reserve, when it hits a critical low, that means everything else is hitting critically low. Whether it's farming stuff, whether it's groceries, whether it's diapers, whether it's medications, whether it's your hair gel, whether it's your makeup, whether it's your toys, whether it's your video games, whether it's your electronics, whether it's your cooking ware, everything is going to go up. Everything is going to be up pause. Everything is at a critical low. You are not feeling anything yet because the United States is still using its reserve stockpile and subsidizing oil prices for you. You're still in a bubble where you don't feel affected. And most people in the United States already can't afford their own economy. In Missouri, back in 2017, 2018, a living wage for one child, one adult, and two adults was at least $21 an hour for 40 hours a week for from two adults. Living wage mean I get to pay my bills, have basic foods, have basic accessible, and that's it. It doesn't mean you're rich. It doesn't mean you're getting toys. It doesn't mean you're getting access to all the candy that you want. It doesn't mean that you're getting to travel. It doesn't mean you're getting vacation. It just means just you're surviving. And the minimum wage hasn't changed in the United States for more than 40 years. People cannot afford to eat. People cannot afford to shop. If you go to the grocery store and grab just 5 to 10 items, you might be spending more than $50. In fact, you might be spending $100. $20, $40 used to fill up the whole basket for you 40 years ago, 20 years ago. You can't get even a pizza with that. With the taxes, with the tip, with the delivery. $40, 50, baby. What happened to bringing prices down? What happened to making the economy affordable? What happened at the gas pump? Trump is very proud that he made China buy oil from the United States. Oh my God, China's going to be buying oil from the United States now. But what happened? We need that oil in the US. Americans need that oil. Our stockpile is running low. Our strategic reserve cannot, and the United military is dependent on the strategic reserve. So if our strategic reserve runs out, our military oil runs out. See the circle? That's what we call the circle of life, baby. Circle of life. The IRGC, we talked about this a while back. So, can you talk about the IRGC quietly moving some ships throughout the Easy Pass route? Is it just for China, or is it U.S. Quietly allowing this? Um, I don't know about whether the United States is quietly allowing this or not, but China is using their own ships or other ships to move their own goods or resources or get their own goods or resources. The United States has intercepted some of them. The United States has seized some of them, and we'll see. How should Gulf states deal with Israel? Gulf states don't know what the fuck to do about Israel because they're put in a very hard situation where their people are demanding the end of Israeli government, and they fear, and these leaders fear their own people of execution, and it has happened in the past. And the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has stated that to Western media when he was asked why he hasn't signed the deal with the Abrahamic Accord. He had openly stated that I don't want to get executed. I don't want to get assassinated by my own people. And the assassination is not coming from the street, it's coming in from within the security forces. The anti-Israeli sentiment is very high, especially when your friends and family are directly impacted by them. Don't buy from Walmart, buy from your neighborhood. Spend the money in your community. Learn that if you spend your money in a corporation, that money goes to that corporation, never goes back to you. The US Congress right now is simply a rubber stamp for His Royal Excellency, our Supreme Leader, His Majesty Trump. With the Congress is just simply not practicing its own rights. What is more shameful for us than the White House is the failure of the U.S. Congress from practicing its simple legal amendments that they are forced and obligated to do. It is their legal, constitutional right and constitutional, not right, constitutional obligation. It is their constitutional obligation that they put the White House and the Supreme Court in checks, but they have not. And they continue not to. It is their duty, yes. So when your elected official is not doing their job, what do? You run. You elect someone else. You nominate someone else. You take some action. You demand that they get what is it called when you evict a president? What is it called when you evict a president? I forgot. That's the problem when English is your second language. Impeach, yes. Impeach impeach the people that represent you if they're not doing your job. Demand impeachments, regardless of Democrats or Republican. A Democrat not doing his job is as bad as a Republican not doing his job. Look, if your representative or senator, whether their own state or federal level, if they're attending their Senate hearings or their House hearings or their Senate hearing, House hearings, and then the committee hearings. If they don't show up for votes, if they don't show up for hearings, then they shouldn't be even in office. Look at their attendance. Are they even attending their job or not? Because so many of them gets elected, keep the paycheck, vote for what's only good for them, and ignore everything else. As someone that used to work at the Kansas State Senate and used to see it with his own eyes. That was my first job. Senators, representatives, Republicans, and Democrats and independents not doing their job. When you go to school, the teacher, to make sure that you're doing your job, you're doing your homework, keeps attendance. Where's Chris? Where's Aaron? Where's Mike? Where's Christina? Where's Amanda? Your representatives and senators are not doing their job, whether it's state, federal, or even council position. If they don't have time to do their job, then we should find people that have time to do their job. If they have their own businesses and family issues, then they need to set aside and put the government first. So people that can put the government first can work for us. We elect people to represent us. We give them years to do their job. All of a sudden, you look at their attendance number; they have never showed up. Motherfucker, why have we voted for you? Why did we vote for you? Can you speak about the geopolitical impact of His Excellency, our Supreme Leader Trump, weak performance in China? Sir, he had not a weak performance. He was welcomed like a ruler. He was treated like a king, and he had public communication with the leader of China. What do you mean? He even did not need a paper. He spoke out of his mind. He did not even need to prepare. Our supreme leader is so smart. He doesn't even need to prepare marks. He comes into the room with all the knowledge, baby. Our supreme leader, the King Trump, does not need to be put to shame. Shame on him. Put me in a situation to criticize the king. Wajeeh, do you think the United States present administration is aligned with Russia? Not the president, the king himself, our supreme leader, His Majesty, President Trump, has a lot of blackmail stuff. Putin has a lot of blackmail stuff on him, and we knew that from his first administration, where they have videos, pictures with the hotel rooms and water sports and many other weird shit. Child, they have that on him, according to the news from his first administration. So, not me, not me, not me. I never said this, but my friend Malcolm Nance has said, find you someone who loves Putin's ass as much as Trump likes Putin's ass. Not me. I never said that. I'm quoting, huh? Trump, I love you. I love you so much, Trump. Please talk about how many years left we have of global oil reserves. I mean, if you're talking about oil under the ground, we have 50, 100 years, maybe 200 years. But if you're talking about reserves on land that has already been out, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, depending on which country you are. Well, Gulf states build resiliency into their power and desalination. They're already doing that. UAE is building fences that designed to prevent drones from hitting their oil reserves. Um, they're already looking for Ukrainian drones that have been tested on the battlefield against the Iranian Russian drones, and it was successful. It has been very successful. Um, they have been gradually working their security apparatus away from the United States. I talked earlier about how Saudi Arabia is working on producing 50% of its military stockpile. So we'll see. I don't have an update on Mali. Someone is asking if I could give an update on Mali. I would be lying to you if I said I have any updates on Mali. His Majesty, may his health lives forever. Our President Trump may hold office for life. If he does, we wish him the infinity life. We may wish him a good infinity life, like we wish every king. Canada also has a king now, but at least you can speak, right? Question: what's the difference between the philosophy and training between Saudi Arabia military and the American military? The American military is made and designed to defend the homeland and designed to take attacks against adversaries at their countries before they attack us first. The Saudi military, on the other hand, is designed to protect the royal family and the royal family alone, and the holy mosques and the government facilities, and then the Saudi population. There is the Royal Guards, and the Royal Guards are the most trained militias in the kingdom and are the most funded. They get the latest toys and they get the latest tools. And usually these are come from very trustworthy tribes that the government have trusted for more than 100 years. And it's not easy to get into the Royal Guards. Otherwise, there is the national security, there's the army, there's the navy, and they are trained, but the Saudi government fear the rest of the military more than they see them as a threat. So they weaken the general military and strengthen their royal military, and they're both part of the government. They're both, but they kind of have different functions. That's the philosophy. As a Saudi citizens, we're considered subjects in the word of law, and the definition of subject is a property, and we're considered to be properties of the Saudi government. That's why you'll see a lot of princes get away with murder in the kingdom, because we're considered subjects and they can get away with murder, rape, and other shit. Meanwhile, Saudi citizens get judged and ruled for the smallest crimes. That's just what it means to be a prince versus a citizen. Actual citizens in the word of law and political science are people who have part of or can have a part of the decision making in their country. So you are a US citizen because you get to vote. We're considered Saudi subjects. We're called US Saudi citizens on international law, but in Saudi Arabia, we are subjects. Colbert will be fine. I was crying 2 days ago over his show. He's genuinely an amazing guy. He has no, I have not heard him say a single bad thing about anyone that doesn't deserve it. I have not heard him start conflict. I have not heard him demean anyone for their body shape, or he does not. He donated a lot of the proceeds from his show and his own money to his own team when there was the boycott for the riders to get their own uh rights in terms of team, and they did a show with Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Steven what was his no Seth Meyer, and what's the British guy, uh Oliver, Jimmy Oliver. They all did a podcast together and raised some money, and all of that money that they raised went directly to their workers. Amazing people. People that are looking for the benefit of the United States. People who are looking for the benefit of the American citizen. When there is ever, some sort of crisis, they stopped their show and they showed their humanity. And because we have a supreme leader, now we don't have those nice things, don't have those commentaries, don't have that emotional support that we are dependent on when we need to be united. And those voices that usually unite us away from politicians are those satire comedians. When you can't laugh about some of the most serious things, that's when you know you're in deep shit. That's the reality that we live in right now. Country that we moved to looking for freedom of speech now is the same country that is preventing us from speaking. Just heard this that Trump told Xi that he could do whatever he wanted to Taiwan. The United States, if they lose Taiwan, they lose access to some of their most secure intelligence assets, which is their most intelligence chips. Um, if we lose Taiwan, then we lose some of our most important planes, like the F-35s, like the precision missiles that we shoot, that goes to some of our most advanced radar systems. And if China has anything and everything they want to do to Taiwan, then not only we have broken our promise from protecting another ally, but we would have lost one of our strongest assets in the world, not the region, in the world. Australia reported that US jets were in their airspace without permission. Any idea what that was about? I don't have any idea what that's about, but if I would to speculate, I would speculate that it has to do with the South China Sea, or it would have to do with transport from one place to another. Are subjects happy in Saudi Arabia with their situation, or their dissatisfaction with the Saudi royalty? Depends on who you ask. If you are informed about what it means to be a subject and the definition of subject and the word of law, and you understand how world governments operate, it's very for like for example for me, it's very hard for you to live there because you know you're worthless in the eyes of the government, and if the government wants to take you out anytime, then they would. Um, Many people in Saudi Arabia are very happy and oblivious to the word of law, that what it actually means to be subject. And they proudly call themselves subjects, not knowing the full definition of what it is. And they use that system within their own family. So a father of the family would call their own family subjects. And it goes on that way. And each family, and therefore, each organization has their own subject. Each people have their own subjects. And therefore, like, they don't necessarily understand the full definition of what that is, and it results in people stepping on other people just because they happen to be on a different class level. So Saudi Arabia is a classist society. It has the king, then the royal family, then the Saudi citizens, and then the visa uh, uh, kafala system, and then people who are not even on the kafala system. Those are people are enslaved and used on a regular basis. That's a basic definition of classic society. Many Saudis have a lot to lose, and therefore they haven't got into a situation where they had to realize what kind of um, society they have and what all of that entails. And I don't think they would have time to figure that out as much as they would be demanding justice, or demanding better income equality, or demanding uh, no taxation without representation. Saudi Arabia now is applying taxes, but it does not have any representation. Saudi Arabia, for the longest time, used to claim that, well, we give you all the government services, we give you all the we give you free health medication, we give you free education, we give you free health, we give you protection, which is like the basic what any government is supposed to do, right? Like, you're not supposed to thank the government for doing its job. It's like, we gave you this job to protect us. We gave you this job to give us services. And the Saudi government claimed that, well, we're not giving you any taxes. We're paying, out of for these services out of our own pocket. So you don't need any representation. For the last few years, since Mohammed bin Salman, the Saudi crown prince, been in office, they have been taxing people, and people have not had their own representation for a very long time. So, depending on who you ask, you're either very satisfied or very unsatisfied. Any other question for you guys? We have passed the 1 hour and 30-minute mark, but I want to make sure that I cover all the issues that and questions that you guys have. Oh yeah. Now there is it's very funny because now there is someone saying something about it's Western women and Western gay people and non-Muslims can visit the kingdom and experience the best things that the kingdom has to offer. Meanwhile, our gay people, our women, our people that have changed their belief, they're watching you like they're in a zoo, where you're practicing everything and they're just locked up, not able to do whatever you're doing. So now there is a cruise that is going to be just for gay people, queer people, to visit Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and some other Arabic countries. And you can be gay and queer, but we can't. So that's why there's so much hypocrisy in this. And if you're a person supporting this type of stuff, you just need to know that you are supporting it and know that there are people watching you that want to do the same thing and they can't. So it's up to you. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just telling you that that's what you're doing. It's like when people go to UAE and start living there and hiring people on kafala system, taking advantage of the modern slavery and saying, "Oh, I'm against slavery, motherfucker, you part of it." You just gotta admit what you're taking a part of and admit whether you're gonna be making different decisions to improve that person's life or not. Oh no, they're going into the country. I'm telling you, we've had gay porn stars visit us from Spain during the holy month of Ramadan and film porn videos in Jeddah and went back. And no one told them anything. Other porn stars who are not gay also did the same thing. Meanwhile, if you're caught having sex with anyone in the kingdom, you could be thrown into jail or executed depending on your situation. I'm saying they're no miles away from the tourists. They're coming in. They're coming into the historic cities. They're visiting us in our regular cities. They're not wearing hijab. They're walking with shorts and maybe they're being extra queer, gay. That's what's happening. Wearing the earrings, showing off the tattoos. It's okay for you, but not for me. You can go. I'm not telling you don't. Just know what you're supporting. Just know what you're doing. I don't like telling people what to do and what not to do, but I like to inform you what you're being a part of. One time I had a bougie ass, not bougie, a one percenter from France. His name is Raphael. I forgot his last name. His dad is a hedge fund manager, multi-billionaire person, and his mom manages and organizes the fashion shows when it's fashion week and stuff in France. He told me, "Oh, I went to Saudi Arabia and I met with gay people who they were partying. There was alcohol." And I'm sitting there. It's like, there's no, Saudi Arabia is not oppressing gay people. I don't know what you're talking about. You should go back. And I'm looking at him. I have a death sentence. What do you mean go back? I communicated, and I'm connected to Saudi princes. There's a openly gay Saudi prince. He lives in Saudi Arabia. He walks with his boyfriend every once in a while. They kiss each other. He compared the Saudi LGBT communities to animals that don't deserve any rights. And I have the message between me and him. I share that with a couple of the news channels I've talked to before. You might meet privileged people that go to underground parties and have alcohol drinks, and because that's is their only outlet to celebrate and be who they are. Is it an open gay bar? No, it's not. Is it a bar? It's not. Is it a place that's welcoming LGBT people all the time? It's not. It's an underground party. Anyone breaks into that, they're all going to jail. Ay, 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 ay. I think we have reached the end of our episode. We talked about so many different things today. We talked about the Chinese stepping into a vacuum of power in the Middle East. We talked about our stockpile and how it's running dangerously low. We talked about the economics of the weapon that's used by the United States versus Iran, and the income, the difference in cost, and how that is playing a big part in this war of attrition. We talked about little bit about Saudi Arabia and how they treat their own people. So if you like this type of content, if you want to have answers about the Middle East that you have not had answered, and questions that you fear asking and you want someone to answer without getting offended or without you feeling stupid, I'm your guy. Come to me. I'm more than happy to answer your hard questions about the Middle East, um, specifically the Gulf nations and some of the Arab countries as well. If you like this, click the heart button, share it with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching this on here, subscribe. It doesn't cost much. It's free. If you want to become a paid subscriber, that helps me a long way. It pays the bills, helps me do this all day, every day, so you don't have to do it every day, all day. We study, research, investigate, follow the news, communicate with our connections on the ground, so you get the perfect, correct information. And when we get something wrong, we fix it and we let you guys know about it. So your support is what makes us where we are today. Don't forget to support us. It helps us more than what you think. And like I like to say, مع السلامة, bye bye. بالإنجليزي, goodbye. Soon you'll have merch bought. See you later.